This video came out and God. It's just incredible, dude. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. A fun day without the fun. I could not resist. I could not resist. Okay? I could not. I'm sorry, all right? I apologize to all of you. This really reads like a 2016 Gamergate era. Feminist brains explode with this simple question. Doctors don't want you to know this one easy trick. Oh my God. Okay, let's go. I can't resist. I'm a masochist, okay? Evidently.
Debate with a feminist on fake equality regarding drafting. Oh,
should women be drafted? This is an effort to figure out if you guys are feminist or not. Should women be drafted in the military?
Like, by drafted, do you mean like when you turn 18, like you're automatically?
Okay, yeah. So men have to register for the selective service. Currently, there's not a draft in the United States, but all men in the.
I think women should not be drafted for combat roles. I think being drafted for like being a cook or something like that, or like medical or something that's not combat related, is probably okay. But I don't think women should be drafted for combat roles because men are bigger and stronger and. Like a woman's not gonna be able to carry a man off the battlefield. It's just not gonna happen. Like maybe there's like
I don't know why people still think that we live in like Vietnam War era. The vast majority of our military presence is fucking drone warfare. It's pressing a bunch of buttons that a fucking chimp could press.
Wait, SpongeBob! We're not cavemen! We have technology!
Okay. Women can commit war crimes just as well as men can. If he's talking about infantry, the amount of like military units, I guess, the amount of people in the military that are infantry is a small amount. We are not sending hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground in countries anymore. This is not what's happening. This is not how modern warfare looks. It's just so silly. It's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Infantry is literally only in the Army and the Marines. Navy and Air Force don't even have them. It's really hard to sit in an air-conditioned room spamming the delete brown people button. Exactly. It's just so silly. It's silly. They only draft for that reason, not for drone drivers. You're wrong. We shouldn't draft women because of the high rates of sexual assault that go unpunished. That is a different point that is important to make. That's worthwhile. But continuing.
like 6 girls that can do that, but like on average, no, it's not going to happen.
The United States at 18, in order to be able to vote and have other benefits, they have to register.
It's because men and women aren't equal, by the way. That's the reason why. Everybody knows this, but you got some people, some 19-year-olds try to reinvent biology, try to reinvent the world. Oh my God. But no, men and women aren't equal. They never have been. They never will be. That's just the way it is.
For the selective service, which would then make them subject to military conscription in the case that there was a military conflict which required a draft. So do you think women should be subject to selective service draft? Forced?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay.
I wouldn't even trust women to like fight for our...
See, the problem with this rhetoric, by the way, is that he wants to have his cake and eat it too, right? So the epic own here is that this very smart man is suggesting on the whatever podcast that women should be drafted, right? And he's hoping that the woman says, no, I don't think so, because I don't want to be drafted. But then, Asman being Asman, says, well, women can't be drafted because they're too weak anyways. So it's kind of a catch-22. We ask you if you want to be drafted to prove that you're not actually a feminist, but really, we don't want you to be drafted because you're too weak and inferior anyways. So it doesn't really matter. So if you say no, you're a fake feminist for not wanting real equality. And if you say yes, you're a delusional woman that thinks men and women are exactly the same. You have to pick one. You have to pick one and decide from there what you want to do. Okay? All right.
Country, unless that's like their.
Also, can I say one other thing? Can I just say one other statement here? No one should want to be drafted. If you want to be drafted, you have fallen for propaganda, nationalistic propaganda that has made you believe your life is less valuable than your government's life. Life. Intangible, of course. I've always thought that this was like a funny, weird argument that men have made in the past historically. Like, women aren't the ones working in coal mines like us. It's like, wait, why do you want to work in a coal mine? No one should be wanting to work in a coal mine and getting coal lung. Why do you want to do? You know we have green energy, right? What the? I mean, sure. If you want black lung, I guess. All right. Okay. Super strength daughter rescues dad under pinned car. That's so sick. I didn't hear my dad, so I went back inside, asked where my mom was. What? Oh, sorry, inside. I asked my mom where he was. I guess the way he was moving the car with his wrench, the jack slipped and it fell on top of him. I literally just lifted up the car. I lifted it like it was a table. She added that she didn't consider the feat to be Hulk-like. I didn't even get through the full set before he started breathing again because she did CPR on him. Doesn't say it immediately, but that's fucking hilarious, actually. That's hilarious. I mean, adrenaline will make you do crazy things that your body otherwise can't do. Adrenaline is insane, actually. And it's crazy that you can't really tap into that power until the adrenaline is rushing through your body, because your body doesn't want you to accidentally strain or break something. But yeah. I always wonder if people crash like that after that, torn muscles, etc. Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, 100%. Especially if you have bad form or you aren't someone that trains physically regularly, it's very easy to actually hurt yourself. But in the moment, your body thinks you hurting yourself is less important than doing whatever feat you have to do to help that person. But yeah, anyways, the other crazy thing is this is a concept, these people that like to make appeals to biology, we all understand the concept of don't fuck with like a mama bear that has cubs because you will get your ass beat. Like, do not fuck with female animals that have young. They're young because they have a strong incentive to fucking kill you. And they fucking will kill you. So we understand that this is a thing that happens, that biologically females, oh my God, I feel like an
Denims, did you know the Russians landed on Venus and took a bunch of photos of the surface of Venus back during the space race? Don't you love the American EDU system? Because I didn't learn that till like yesterday.
What the fuck? Hey, I mean, I didn't know that Russia landed, basically beat the US in the space race, except for landing on the moon. Like, Russia was like, I think the first to have satellites. Russia was the first to get a lot of like, I think the first to get an animal in orbit and then a person in orbit. Like, the only thing that we did first was put someone on the moon. But they did everything else first. Like, literally everything else. We just kept goalposting until we could finally beat them at one thing. But anyways, like, yeah. Moving on. Getting back to the point on the draft system and equality between men and women, which is just absolutely hilarious. Also, can I say, if you want real equality, you don't judge people, okay? and whether or not they can be drafted based on their fucking gender or sex or gametes or whatever the fuck metric you want to use. You judge them based on whether or not they are physically capable of passing the test, the physical test. Asmongold would not pass that test. He is not fit to be in the US military. Lean Beef Patty might be fit to pass that test. How about you abolish the idea of gender drafts and simply put in strength-based drafts? Whoa, a crazy concept. How about if you can go through the rigorous training or whatever and pass physically, great, you're in. And if you can't, you can't. And will that number have majority male? Yes, of course, obviously, because men are predisposed to having an advantage physically. But this doesn't have to be about men and women. This can just be, and this isn't this like peak anti-DEI? Just like, isn't this peak equality? You don't hire someone based on their gender, male. You hire someone based on whether or not they are qualified. Isn't that what you guys want? Isn't that what you guys preach all the time, that the most qualified person should be the person participating? Okay. So it sounds like all the nerds that sit at their computers, myself included, mind you all, okay? I definitely could not pass those tests. I play way too many video games to pass any of those, okay? And then you just put those people in. I don't know, crazy. The people that pass it, you put those people in. Crazy idea. I don't know. Wow, insane.
Their thing, you know, like if you're like
also, yeah, the other thing that people don't like to mention is that women aren't drafted in the military. It's not, the reason that they're not drafted is more because women bear children. And if you want the population to continue, men are more, and this is just a factual statement, if your goal is we need our population to continue to grow, you can lose a lot more men than you can women. They are more disposable for the purpose of keeping the reproductive rate high. On a personal level, obviously, I don't think that anyone is more disposable than anyone else. I don't think men should be more disposable. But if you're talking purely utilitarian, the reason men go to war historically has been because men are more disposable because they can't child rear. Cis men can't child rear. That's why. It's not about the strength thing nearly as much as it is about the other thing. But they always like to ignore that for some reason. I don't understand. This is something that's talked about a lot in feminist literature, and it's about how anti-feminist rhetoric impacts men negatively. You engage in more rhetoric. When you insist that men and women are unequal, you allow men to be more disposable, and you allow men to just go out in war and die. And if you want true equality, you stop viewing men and women as these two independent groups that are totally different. And they can never be the same. As if we aren't the same species, dude. As if we aren't literally the same species. But whatever, moving on.
That type of woman that you feel like you're stronger.
It's really impressive whenever they get some of these people on there, bro, because, like, you know, you think about what is it that makes you think that you should go on a show like this and give your opinion about anything? Because, like, you gotta know, man, if you this stupid, like, you got
oh my god, I'm so bullied. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm not, no. Sorry, okay. We're gonna... What does he sound like he's day drinking? Did I slow down the audio somehow accidentally? No, it's normal speed. Okay, whatever. Going back.
Gotta know it somewhere deep down inside. You gotta have an idea that maybe I should fucking stop, man.
Like that, but I just feel like No.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, hold on. So you think they
They
should be
purposely
drafted?
bring on stupid women? Yeah, but like you act like, bro, you act like he goes out there with a burlap bag like Borat and goes and, whoa, I got you, bitch. All right, get on the podcast. What do you think about equal right? Who do you think should pay for a first date? Like, that's not what happens. Bro, they show up themselves. These are grown ass women.
What's with the accent? This has to be satire, right? I know that generally speaking, if you're an American and you're from the South, you have at least a little bit of a Southern accent. Even for anyone who's an American who doesn't live in the South, but has a friend that lives in the South, even the people you think don't have accents, every once in a while, a little bit will come out. A little bit of that Southern twang will come out. He's like dialed it in all the way, dude. Is the mold really like infected the speech pattern part of his brain? What's going on? He's workshopping something? I don't know. What's happening here?
This is a grown ass fight. This is an adult. You go on there and you make a fool out of yourself. And it's like, yeah, they might give you the clown makeup, but you're the one putting it on.
Drafted based on how
Get the
they
fuck
feel.
out of here.
No,
About-
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if, like, willingly, if you just want to
She's saying if they want
We
to
all just really want to volunteer. Yeah,
If
yeah.
they want to volunteer, yes.
Yeah, but then that just defeats
Which
the
is-
purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, that's what we currently have.
yeah, but I guess we should be drafted because I mean,
Okay. All right.
I mean, plenty of men don't want to join.
okay.
Plenty of men, plenty of
Yeah.
men, plenty of women. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
If we gotta do what we gotta do, I mean, yeah.
Now, here's the interesting thing. You guys both have different opinions on this. I still don't know which is actually like the actual feminist position, because we'll have feminists who will argue it's actually, we had one last week with Andrew, who said, well, it's not equitable. It's not equity for women to be drafted. That's a whole nother thing. But what about you?
No.
I mean, the idea behind it is just that you are sidestepping the issue and making asking the question, should women be drafted? You are assuming that women have achieved legal equality, and therefore the only barrier left for true equality is the draft. But that is genuinely nowhere near the case. And the problem is none of the usually men who pose this question ever actually bring up any of the other things that are clear indications of inequality. So to better explain the point that I'm talking about, one major step in the right direction is real maternity leave without punishment. Currently, and for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to be talking about cis women and cis men because these conversations are usually, they're such simple conversations, but so difficult conversations to have with certain types of people. So if I say women and men in this specific conversation, I'm referring to cis women and men. Women bear such a strong economic burden in child rearing. The US government has a strong incentive to want women to want to have children. Women should be compensated for having to take on the majority of the burden of increasing the population or making the population stay the same size. Women should be, and I also think men should have paternity leave, to be clear.
Love.
But women should have protected maternity leave. You should not be fired because you want to give birth. You should be given time off to have your body recover. And if you don't do that, you are punishing women who are doing the government a service, who are doing everyone a service. Everyone wants the population to stay the same size, at the very least for Social Security, stuff like that, right? Labor force, et cetera, whatever. But if you are treating men and women equally in this situation, you're ignoring the fact that women suffer a huge, huge punishment for doing something that the government wants them to do. What company is firing women for having a kid? I feel like most businesses celebrate births. They certainly don't. I would highly recommend looking into some books on the mother tax. This is not the case. It's generally speaking, what is the current, I don't even know if it's a state or federal policy, but current maternity leaves are not forgiving. If you have to take more than like a week off after giving birth, they fire you. You can't fire someone for having a kid, but you can fire them for needing an extra bit of time to, there is no federal maternity leave. I think it's state by state currently. Whereas in other countries that actually do have closer gender parity, I guess, or gender equality, there is state mandated maternity leave, as there should be. You shouldn't be punished for giving birth, something that the government wants you to do. I think like Sweden or something, Denmark, Norway, those countries, they have like 6 months. Now, I also think we should go a step further and give men paternity leave as well. I think, obviously, since women would be giving birth, the first chunk of maternity leave should be automatic. Obviously, if you just physically gave birth, something that can be very traumatic for your body, you should be given paid maternity leave for like at least like the first month. I'm not sure on the details on how long that should last, but at the very least, for probably the first month, you need to recover physically. Men should also get like 6 months of paternity leave. You should be encouraged to spend time with your infant or your kid. You should be. And talking about the draft, but before talking about something that is so simple like paid maternity and paternity leave, is just so dishonest. That's the major problem that I have with this question. It refuses to recognize that we have other issues that are way more important that actually are impacting people. When was the last time that we had a draft? Does anyone have a year? Uh, 1970s. The United States has not had a draft since 1973. When was the last time someone gave birth? Like 2 seconds ago, probably. You're talking about an issue that has not impacted us in 50 years to talk about equality and how women don't actually care about equality, and ignoring something that is happening every second of every day that is impacting like hundreds of millions of people in America. If you care about equality, or you care about actually talking about these issues, how about you bring up the things that matter first, matter more, and then we can discuss other things? And on the topic of the draft, the answer is easy. You have the draft, you have, it sounds like whataboutism. I explained why it's not, but if you want to believe that, that's fine. The situation with the draft is very, very simple. You have the draft, you have like basic, the training for everyone, and the people who pass get drafted, and the people who don't. It's that easy. It's not more difficult than that. It's actually very simple. I'm not sure why this is such a complicated issue. Okay. Continuing. It also sneakily implies it has to exist for men. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And this is why conversations around the draft and draft equality are deeply intertwined in feminist literature. It also sneakily implies that selective service has to exist for men. And the only question is if women should also be forced into it. The phrasing of the question doesn't allow you to say the draft shouldn't exist at all. Now, before I go into the draft shouldn't exist at all, I'm going to go in a different direction, because unfortunately people will say, of course you need a draft. What if we go into wartime? So I'm not going to engage in this argument. What I will engage in is a slightly different argument, right? And the slightly different argument on this is that we don't mention or bring up or talk about the fact that men are not compensated in our current state, in the government's current state. Men are not compensated in any meaningful way for their service. You don't get anything special for being forced to be drafted if you want to take FOFSA as a man. We assume men have to pay this fine and they don't need to get rewarded for paying this fine. And men who have never read any feminist literature that like to bring this up and be like, oh, you've been owned in the marketplace of ideas. They don't talk about compensating men for this. They want to talk about punishing women. The way they see it is, oh, you want equality? Okay, go to war then. It's like, wait. You're the one that's claiming that only men can go to war because they're physically stronger and taller and all these other things. And men have to go to war. And really, women aren't even fit for the battlefield. But you want to put women in just to punish them? Just to have real equality? Wait, if you think that women aren't fit for the battlefield, why not compensate men in a way that feels fair for the fact that they have to hold this burden? Okay, let's say I'm sold. Let's say I'm on the same page. Yeah, biology. This is basic third grade biology. Men are stronger than women, and that's why men get drafted. That is one of the lesser reasons. Reproductive reasons are the higher reasons on that list. But let's just go along with it. Okay, yeah, basic third grade biology. Only men should get drafted because they're the tall and strong ones. Then why are you even talking about drafting women? Why not proposition some type of reward system for men that have to do this? Why do we have to drag everyone down instead of maybe helping the people that are currently dealing with excess labor that they shouldn't have to? Why do all of us have to get degraded? Why can't we reward people for their service in a way that is meaningful? Oh, you are a man. You accept that you have to deal with this draft. Because of this, we compensate you in this way. If you fit in this criteria, you get a special sticker on a sticker board, so to speak. Metaphorically, of course. But the problem is that the men who bring up the draft, they don't care about the issues that they're talking about. They just want to make feminists look stupid and dumb, which is just, it's a poisoned well, to be honest. It's a poisoned well, totally. But moving on, let's continue.
No? Okay.
No, women should not be drafted.
Should not be drafted?
No.
But they should be paid equally in sporting events?
No comment.
Okay.
Well, of course they shouldn't be paid equally. Like, for example, I think women's gymnastics should be paid more than men's gymnastics. And I guarantee you that probably is what happens. Same with women's beach volleyball.
This is another, I don't know if you can call it another well that's been poisoned, but this is another stupid talking point about like women shouldn't get paid the same as sports. The conversation, by the way, on women in sports has always been much greater than just viewership equals payment. If you want to get paid more, if you want women to get paid more, maybe their events should be more interesting. Fails to recognize that women's sports don't get nearly the same amount of advertising. And when you bring this up to dudes who use these arguments, they tend to go into cyclical logic and say, well, there's not a lot of advertising because people aren't watching it. And it's like, wait, so how about you try giving similar amounts of funding and then we see what happens? And then we go from there. Huh? Second of all, a lot of the conversation regarding women's sports has not been pay them the same amount of men as the men in the same field. It's been women are not getting the same treatment from their agencies as men are. Like on the front of insurance, on the front of transportation, on the front of food. You don't want to pay them as much? Sure, that's fine. less people watch, so they get paid less. No one is disagreeing with that. No one is disagreeing with that. That's fine. Why are they getting treated as second class? That has nothing to do with how much you're paying them. You're just like skimping out on all these other things, even though they don't cost any money. Excuse me. Even though the amount of money that it would cost to fix that is very small. Excuse me. It's very ridiculous. It's very ridiculous. Like a very good example of something that costs $0 that would be in the realm of equality is the fact that women in, I believe, volleyball have petitioned to not have to wear underwear. And they just refuse. Nope, you're playing volleyball as a woman, you have to wear underwear. They're not allowed to even make their own decisions about what they wear. They're not even allowed equality on that front. What? So men don't watch, but in case any men watch, we need to have you dressed in underwear. None of this seems ridiculous. None of this? Okay. Okay. All right. Interesting. Interesting, interesting. Girls in gymnastics had the same fight with leotards. Yep. Yep.
I think that'll be paid. I think women's beach volleyball probably gets paid more than men's. I've just got a feeling about that. I don't know why. I just got an idea. And sure, of course, right? Tennis, maybe you're right. And but basketball, I don't think so.
This is incorrect.
They shouldn't be drafted?
I don't think.
I'm pretty sure WNBA viewership has been going up. And a big part of that has been because of increased advertising and increased care in the players. Surprise, shocker, when you put more money into advertising and you put more money into making sure that your team is taken care of, more people watch. An insane concept. Whoa, whoa. It's on average 3.5 times more this season than last, with 1.4 million viewers on average. Precisely. Precisely.
I think so.
Well,
yeah.
Hold on.
Okay, so everybody except Anza said women shouldn't be drafted, but y'all want to be equal? So wait a sec. How are you equal if the men are the ones that have to fight and die to defend the country? The men are the ones that build and maintain all the infrastructure, right? Like none of this stuff in the studio is built or maintained by women. Do you know that like 90% of infrastructure jobs are still held by men? And that if you look at
literally the entire field of like computer science was built by women.
The top 20 jobs held by women now in 2024 versus 1924 are almost the exact same. So women have had 100 years to do whatever they want.
Yeah, women have had 100 years. Meanwhile, women haven't had credit cards since the 70s. We only got that 50 years ago. But they've been able to do whatever they want the entire time. Yeah. Of course, yes. Right. Everybody knows that in 1920, as a woman, you could do whatever you wanted. Oh my God, me, shit for brains, holy shit.
And they still do the same 20 jobs they
Me
did
when
100
I'm
years
a total moron and ignore the fact that material conditions for women have only improved very recently. Very recently. Frog, thank you.
ago, other than we switched out farm labor for HR
Yeah,
work.
of course, right? Because because men and women are different, and men have like different proclivities towards things that women.
Oh my God, if you're gonna make this argument, fucking point at a Nordic country. Pointing at the US over the past 100 years as evidence that women naturally want to do certain jobs is so lazy. Oh my God, if you're going to be lazy and make this argument, at least point to Nordic countries that have actually gotten really close to gender parity, but women still do pick certain fields consistently. How do you make this argument and make it so poorly? This is insane to me. Oh my goodness.
It's crazy to me. Like there's always, it's like I've seen this go on like my whole life. It's like these are like adults that, and they're young people, right? And so they don't really get it. They don't understand it. So it's like in their mind, they actually think that men and women are equal. Everybody knows. Like,
He doesn't mean this, right? He's not this dumb, right? This is for views, right? This is for like so he can get an easy mill views on a video. There's no way. This is too dumb, even for him. This is too stupid. Oh, no.
If you're fucking 30 years old, you know this is not the case. Like there are just certain things that men on
podcaster should have more rights than women.
On average like doing more than women. And this is always like and the problem with these people is that I think that if you looked at the people that talk like this and think like this and go against what she's saying, the pink shirt girl, and you ask them to explain how statistics work, I think that they probably couldn't do it. Because the majority of people that talk and think about like the exceptions, the reason why they think about exceptions and they bring those up as contrary to like an overall rule is because they have a fundamental misunderstanding of statistics, right? They can't conceptualize how statistics work. And they
show me what statistics have been brought up. What?
They don't understand averages because it's an abstract concept. And a lot of people just have trouble understanding abstract constructs because, you know, you look at the bell curve of IQ and there's a lot of people that are like, you know, not so good. And so they're not.
No, this is parody. This is parody. No one could say so many fucking stupid sentences in a row. This is parody. This has to be parody. There's going to be at the very end of the video, the last second, it's going to be like, I'm just kidding, guys. I would never say something that dumb. You don't say this sentence. You're just spitting out as many buzzwords as you can and
a lot of
hoping
people just have
sticks.
trouble understanding abstract constructs.
A lot of people have trouble understanding abstract concepts.
Because, you know, you look at the bell curve of IQ and there's a lot of people that are like...
You look at the bell curve of IQ...
Like, you know, not so good.
And a lot of people that are like, not so good. This is parody. This is parody. No one could say a sentence that's stupid and mean it. That's fucking parody.
And
no,
so,
this is a bit.
They're not just not going to get it. And especially if they're not taught that.
I refuse.
One example equals everything. Exactly. Yeah, they don't have the mental capacity. And it's like do you ever get mad at your Game Boy because it doesn't play Monster Hunter World? I don't. Do I ever get mad at my Xbox controller because it hasn't 3D printed a cat girl? No, because it's just not programmed to do that. And so you can't go and get mad at somebody for doing something that they're just not set up to do. They're just never going to figure it out, man.
And please tell me, what in this instance are you talking about? Please explain this to me.
So that's all there is to it. I work in construction, I work with women. Yeah, they can do some jobs, but we aren't putting a 120-pound girl on a job that requires somebody to lift a 4-inch rigged pipe. Yeah, exactly, right? And so, like, it's just, I don't think women, like, not every single job, even inside of things, I bet, like, inside of, like, an oil rig, there's probably a job inside of an oil rig a woman can do. Because there's...
Gotta be. This is amazing. He should go work for The Onion. This is amazing. That's incredible. No, that's amazing. No, that is wow. There's just not, it's the pure levels of gender essentialism are so contrary to the absolute rage and triggeredness that these people get when women say that they pick the bear. It's just pathetic. The hypocrisy is incredible. I just have no words. Gigaspud, thank you for the 4 months. That's just amazing. That's amazing.
Probably a spectrum of physical activity that's needed. And there's probably one component of that you can put a person on and they don't need to do anything, right? Like, yeah, engineer, reception, cook, admin, filing papers, coffee. Yeah, something like that, right? It's not a big deal. But like this idea that it's the exact same is crazy. And also that people have the same interests. It's crazy too. Like like you look at video games, right? You look at Kingdom Come Deliverance. I wonder how many guys are playing that. Warhammer, how many guys are playing that? Like you go and you look at Twilight, how many girls watch that? You go and you look at, you know, fucking Sex in the City, how many girls watch that? It's just that there's a different trend. Like
these people, by the way, are the first people to say that Japan is a lot better than the US because there's such a big cultural difference there in how the people treat each other. However, they cannot comprehend the notion that women and men like certain things because culture has dictated it so. Like the notion is just insane to them. It's too crazy. But they can understand in another context. This one is too hard.
It's just averages. Some people are exceptions. But also it's biology. Like a Game Boy can't play Monster Hunter because it's not programmed to do it. So what he's saying is on the bell curve, some Game Boys can play Monster Hunter.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But those things are true in every culture. You know you're wrong, right? You know there are matriarchal cultures, right? A quick Google search. Look up matriarchal cultures, and you will find many such instances where men have very few rights relative to women. It's not the same in every front. It's not the same in every single place. That's actually not true. Oh my God.
It's crazy to me that people don't understand this. Crazy.
But other than
the
that,
Sims,
we're secretaries, nurses, daycare ladies, early childhood education.
Asmongold knows it's partly, cultural as well. Do you think it's cultural that men are chosen to fight out wars in ancient times and not women? Maybe it's just logical solutions at the time. I mean, there's a couple problems with your statement, if I may. First is that there are and have been civilizations where women have fought as well, alongside men. The one that people like to bring up is Vikings. Women fought. Women physically fought. Second of all, the real reason for why women, and you can look at any historian will tell you this, even a baby could tell you this. Historically, women haven't gone to fight in wars because they do the child rearing. Men are more disposable. We know of this notion. You only need one man to have lots of pregnant women. You cannot have lots of pregnant women if there's only one pregnant woman. The reason that men go to war and not women is because women are needed to stay alive, to child rear for their civilization. They are less disposable if you want the civilization to continue. Which is why Vikings didn't last very long, because when you send women out to fight as well, you don't have as much people around that can child rear. That is the major reason why. If you don't believe me, you can look it up. I promise you that is the major reason. And feminist literature says Men are not disposable just because they cannot child rear. Men should not be disposable just because they cannot child rear. Men should be treated as equally as women are treated in society.
Administrative assistants, retail workers, all the same shit that we were a century ago.
And you know what the real fucking sad thing about this is that people look at childcare and they look at things like being able to, you know, provide and take care of a family, and they view that as inferior to being able to be in the military or something like that, like a physical activity. And the truth is that, like, you know, we need women to do that. And that's a great thing. And for a lot of you guys, you probably grew up with a stay-at-home mom. And I know that for me, right, at least my mom wasn't really a stay-at-home mom. She would work from home, so she was staying at home. So it's kind of the same thing. Like, that really enriched my life, and it enriched the life of everybody else around me, you know, all my friends, you know, like. And so this whole idea that it's like an inferior thing because you can't pick up a 150-pound brick, that's crazy. You can't go and carry a man out of battle like you're just inferior. No, that's not the way it works. It's never the way it works. And I just, it's sad for me to see there's such a, you know, there's such a dichotomy being created between like male and female dominated jobs, as if being a receptionist, as if doing admin work, as if, you know, helping people, you know, take care of their kids, like as if this is a bad thing or it's inferior. It's absolutely not. It's never been inferior. It's crazy.
Then why do they get paid less?
Crazy people would even say that.
Well, if the men are the ones tasked with every time
honestly.
there's a natural disaster, they have to go out and rescue people from the fires and the floodwaters. And every time there's a war, the men have to go and fight it and defend the country. And anytime there's a criminal who needs to be violently...
You're right, but the problem is there's a lot of women that shame other women for doing that. Yeah, well, I mean, like, there's a saying for that. There's a song even. It's called Hoes Mad. Shut the fuck up. Who cares? You're going to get mad about who cares? Why take it seriously?
I have to go back. I missed the very beginning of that.
It's crazy people would even say that.
Well, if the men are the ones tasked with every time
honestly.
there's a natural disaster, they have to go out and rescue people from the fires and the floodwaters. And every time there's a war, the men have to go and fight it and defend the country. And anytime there's a criminal who needs to be violently...
You're right, but the problem is there's a lot of women that shame other women for doing that. Yeah, well, I mean, like, there's a saying for that. There's a song even. It's called Hoes Mad. Shut the fuck up. Who cares?
Are they in the room with us right now? The women who shame other women for staying at home. Are they in the room with us right now? I have never, ever, 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 ever met a single woman who shames other women for staying at home. Ever. You're fighting your shadows, dude. This person doesn't exist. You created them. You invented them. Fact or fiction, you made it up. Show me the women that are shaming other women for staying at home. I don't even know if there's a content creator that has ever said that has ever said, I judge you for staying at home. You should be out working. You seem like a nice person, but you're making bad faith arguments. He suggested that there are women shaming other women for staying at home. I said, I would love to see an example of this. That is not a bad faith argument. I'm sorry to tell you.
Who cares? You're going to get mad about who cares? Why take it seriously?
Be arrested. It's going
to... Yeah, no, that's it. A female firefighter, imagine a hose on fire. Yeah, but there's a job that a female can do at a fire station, right? And so just because men and women can't do the same jobs doesn't mean women are like inferior.
The desire, oh my God, the desire to like take that clip and just post it everywhere, like find every single female firefighter so she knows. So she knows. God, it's just insane. It's just insane to me. I just don't. Keel Hall, thank you so much for the tier 1. You truly believe there is no shaming from men and women towards women who stay at home in our modern time? Really? Yes. I have never run into this person. I've never run into a single person that has told me or said online that they judge women who have kids and stay at home and take care of them. I haven't. I don't know of a single example of this person. If you have an example, if you have a YouTuber that said it, or anything else, please show me. I would love to see them. I would genuinely love to. The problem is, this is an argument that's been regurgitated 100 times, dare I say, human centipede style, to the point where it has devolved into something that is nothing like what the original argument was. There are no examples that I have ever seen of women that judge other women for staying at home and having kids. There are examples of pieces of media or women who encourage other women to go to school and try having a career and see if that's something that they would like. Those are not the same thing. Being encouraged to try out other things is a good thing. I would even go a little further and say, if you want to have kids, honestly, it's not a bad idea to hold off until after you're 21 years old. Because the years 18 to 21, I would say you change so much as a person, your goals, your ambitions, your desires, and you as a person, you really grow and you learn more about yourself and who you are and what you want. And in general, you're probably in a better place at 21 than you were at 18. At 18, you just barely finished high school. At 21, you might possibly be almost done with a degree. I've seen people encourage that. I've seen people say, hey, if you're wanting to have kids, I know you're like very in love, you're married at 19. There's no rush. You're still 19. Wait till you're 21 before you make that decision, because it's a big decision to make. And make sure that that is, you know, for a fact that there's nothing else you want to do before you commit to a child that you will raise for at least really like 15 years. I feel like at 16, kids become a lot less work to take care of. But yeah, exactly. But I give that advice to men. I give that advice to men as well, which is, hey, you're 19, you want to have kids or whatever. Are you sure you don't want to wait till like you're 21? Just make sure that you have done everything that you want to do. Make sure that your brain is like developing a little more. Some other people are saying 25. I just think, honestly, pre-21, you can't even drink yet. Maybe you shouldn't have kids yet. Maybe. You're still really young at 21. You're still incredibly young at 21. You're fine at 21 to have the kid. 18, 19, 20, maybe don't have kids directly before. And I don't think that that's a crazy take. I don't think most people would even disagree with me. I think most people would agree having kids at 21 is not a crazy radical wokeism take. That's just honestly a fair take. I don't think that that's so wrong. I really don't think so. Obviously, it's your life. You do what you want to do with your life. If you want to have kids at 19, that's your right as an American. But I do think it might benefit you to do that just a year or two later. This is anecdotal. This podcast has women on all the time, shaming them for being undervalued women. Also, I've met these women in my college sphere. It's a tiny fraction, but it happens all the time. You know when I say I've never seen them, it's not me saying they don't exist. I'm saying if you know that they exist, please post a link of them. I'm open to changing my mind. If you can give me a timestamp of a woman shaming another woman for having kids, I would love to see it, actually. Please. I just haven't seen it, which is all I meant by that statement. I haven't seen it. Let's continue, shall we?
Career. So y'all are generalizing? Of course, you're generalizing. You have to generalize. To talk about anything in like in a general sense, you have to generalize. And also, like, let's be real, like, you can be generalizing, but very few times there's gonna be like a woman that's gonna be able to pass like the Navy SEALs fucking training regiment, right? It's the one that's for men. Like, it's not gonna happen. What's wrong with generalizing?
Wait, what did he say?
Anything in like in a general sense, you have to generalize. And also, like, let's be real, like, you can be generalizing, but very few times there's gonna be like a woman that's gonna be able to pass like the Navy SEALs fucking training regiment, right? It's the one that's for men. Like, it's not going to happen.
The one that's for men. Okay.
What's wrong with generalizing when it's the truth? The reason why people don't like generalizations is because they're not very good at understanding abstract concepts. Like, for example, averages. So, like, in their mind, this is what I'm saying, right? Is like,
are there a really large number of people that don't understand averages? I feel like that's a really basic concept. What do we teach averages to like fourth graders? There's also, I don't know that averages are an abstract concept. I don't know that we would put averages in an abstract concept like that. Averages is just a property of a set of numbers. I think most people know how averages work. I feel like I learned that in elementary school.
I learned this, and there's a lot of people. Remember you know how like kids can't read clocks and shit? Well, this is kind of the same thing, where like people can't understand a statistic. They can't understand a general idea because they know.
Are there a lot of people that don't understand statistics? Like, and I know when he's talking about statistics, he's not talking about like reading a medical journal and understanding what the standard deviation means. I know he's talking about like 50% of people believe this or whatever. I just
know somebody that's not like that. You see what I'm saying? Emmy, the thing with Emmy, nah, bro. Like, all right, I'm gonna be honest, okay? She's short. She's like 5'3" or something like that. And like the angle that she was looking at the clock, I could see where she wouldn't be able to tell that like that was the second hand, that was the minute hand. Like, I really like that.
The thing with like kids being able to read clocks, It's one of those things that if you don't teach people, they can't do it. Literacy rates historically have been terrible. Literacy rates for most of civilization, most of like human being civilizations, most people haven't been able to read. Literacy rates were like sub 10% for a very long time, and then we standardized it, and now it's basically impossible to find someone who can't read. Like, can't read like simple words. Literacy rate on like a college level is very low in the US. Unfortunately, it's very depressing. But if you standardize something and teach it to kids, they can do it. It's the same thing with like a clock. If you just teach kids how to read it, they can read it. It's like typing on a keyboard. If you can't, if you never learn and you never do it yourself and no one ever teaches you how to do it, you don't learn it. But that's not like that's just basic, I guess.
This honestly was like, you know, just fucking height difference. Like, that's it. So she probably couldn't tell because she was at a different angle. Now, it's...
What I'm saying is that it is so rare and odd to be a stay-at-home wife in our time, so of course it is possible that they get shamed. I mean, is it within the realm of possible? Yeah. Is it probable? No. That's the claim that I'm making. I've been friends with lots of women, and weirdly, I haven't met a single woman who's ever judged other women for staying home. In fact, I've met really the opposite, where almost all of the female friends I've made in my life have told me how much they want to settle down, have kids, and stay at home. And it's actually a staggeringly high number of women that I've known, that I've been close friends with, that have told me that. And it's been only very recently in getting into content that my female friends don't want kids. But none of my female friends who don't want kids shame other women for it in the least bit. But second, I would love to get a source on it being rare that stay-at-home moms exist. And I would love, I don't know how you would find this because proving this would be very difficult. A source on the fact that women are less likely to be stay-at-home wives today because of shaming and not because of financial situations. I would wager if there are more less stay-at-home moms nowadays, it has a lot more to do with inflation and our current, you know, economy. But I would love to see, again, the second bit of evidence there is going to be a lot harder, so I don't expect that because I'm not sure, I don't even know if enough information exists on that topic. But yeah, I would love to see the information that shows that stay-at-home moms are so rare. And I would also love a definition on what are you defining as so rare? Like 10% of the population, 20% of the population? How are we defining rare here? So yeah, please let me know. Please feel free to link it if you can.
It's funny to make fun of her for it, right? Because, you know, you can't read a clock. But the reality is, like, that's not really what happened. But it is funny. That's not the issue or thing you're talking about, is if all women are fit to do a certain thing. Yeah, exactly. And it's not. That's just the way it is. So that's the way I see it. It's a psych debuff? Yeah, something like that. I think the premise of the argument is the concept of equality is baseless from zealous advocates that want it because there are inherent responsibilities that females would rather not have to do. Well, the problem is, like, women want equality in the things that are beneficial for them, right? So, like, they want to have equality in high-paying jobs. They don't want to have equality in being garbage men. You want to have equality in...
That's not true. Women have actually fought really hard to have equality in things like sanitation and construction and have historically been pushed out really hardcore. There's a lot of really good literature on the women who insist on being in male-dominated fields and cannot break through that. The best example on this is the discrimination in construction. There is some, it's really sad actually. Construction jobs have some of the worst rates of sexual harassment and assault. Like, it's not good. It's really, really bad actually. And I don't think it's a crazy notion, but most people don't want to be sexually assaulted at work. Most people don't want their boss to tell them, okay, get naked now. Maybe you guys do, chat. I don't know. But I would wager most of us in here wouldn't want to show up to work and have their boss touch them and tell them that if they don't do certain things, they'll get fired. And unfortunately, in fields like construction, the rates of that type of stuff it's really bad. It's really, really bad. So, yeah.
High-paying jobs, they don't want to have equality in being garbage men. You want to have equality in, different types of privileges, but you don't want to have equality in responsibilities. Like, that's why people fucking hate it. That's why you see comments like this, stuff like this is so popular, is because, and this is the same for a lot of people, right? People want to have their cake and eat it too, which, I mean, I think it's a stupid phrase, but we all understand what it means. And so they want to have the privileges, they want to retain their privileges while having other people, while not undertaking the responsibilities of the people that they want to have the same position as.
I'm reading something, chat, one sec. This shit bothers me so much. As a union carpenter, I see it so much. Trying to combat it is horrific because of the backlash. Some of us try to do whatever we can, but it's so hard when the fuckers are harassing. The fuckers that are doing the harassing are protected by shit higher ups. Yeah. Anyone here who's worked construction or basically any traditionally male job that's like 80-90% male, you've probably seen the sexual harassment or, God forbid, assault that occurs at these workplaces. It's really, really sad, actually. And there's like not much that gets done, and there's not much that you can do. I work in IT, it's really awful, yeah. And I mean, just think about it, right? Let's say it makes me really sad that the only way to contextualize this is to prey on people's potentially internalized homophobia. But like, if you had to show up at work, and every time you showed up at work, there were men trying to grope you and talking about you in a sexual way, would you want to keep working that job? No, you wouldn't want to keep working that job. At a certain point, you don't want to go to a workplace that's actively hostile to you. You leave that job force and you go join a job force that has a little bit more gender parity in it. I mean, it's very similar to the lawsuit against Riot Games. I'm looking at the link that you posted, Alan. The problem is that this article, even when it's translated, it doesn't say.
The worst thing about women entering a field is that it drags down the wages. Like teaching used to be well compensated and respected until all the women arrived, and now it pays minimum wage. Made woman DNM balls.
This is literally why I left kitchen jobs as a woman. It's super toxic and exhausting to deal with. I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. Like, it's who wants to do that? Like, who wants to go to a workplace where it's like literally actively hostile towards you, right? Yeah, anyways, Alan, you posted this link and here's the link that you posted. It's a Swedish website that's translated to English, but it doesn't say what you say it's saying. I don't know who this woman is. Gudrun Schyman. Who is she? She's a Swedish politician, and it says here, a viral trend on social media is urging young girls to be more feminine and work less. Women are burning themselves out and should take it easy. They should work less or become stay-at-home girlfriends. And above all, they should not forget to be feminine. And this politician said that trend is deplorable. This is not shaming women who stay at home. This is shaming women who get on the internet and say, you need to remember to be feminine. You need to remember that you should be a stay-at-home girlfriend. She's calling the trend deplorable. She's not saying women who stay at home are deplorable. Those are different things. Those are different. She's calling out the trend that is insisting that women should act a certain way and be feminine. I don't think anyone that's sane would even disagree with that. Telling people how to live their lives is bad. People should just get to live their lives how they want, and you shouldn't be going around saying like, yeah, men need to stop crying so much. Men need to start being more manly. And then somebody else telling me that's really deplorable of you to say that. I think that person would be very fair, but that's why I don't say that shit, because that's a stupid thing to say. Men should just do what they want to do, and women should do what they want to do. Do you have any links of someone calling stay-at-home wives and stay-at-home moms bad? Because again, I would love to see a real source on that. Mouse. See, we're going back to generalizations, sir. Read the full article. Read We Young People. See, I told you to show me a specific person. The paragraph you're pointing at isn't doing that again. We young people have been told by the extreme left our entire upbringing that we women should not prioritize family life. We should invest in a career. And if you choose to be a housewife, you get shit on it for social media. She says in the premiere episode, well, who are this extreme left? Can I get one person in this extreme left that says this? This is talking about big groups. I told you to give me an example of someone. Do you have an example of one person saying this? An example of one person that is judging women for doing that? Because I can say the same thing. I can say, like, the extreme right is telling men that they should blah, 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 blah. But until I show you an example of someone, it's kind of just a general statement that anyone can make up. Also, as a Swede speaking, we really don't have an extreme left showing this, though. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Denise Westerberg is a member of the far-right Sweden Democrats, so extreme left could be anything left of Hitler. Oh, no. Yeah. And I mean, actually, even if you do read the full article, it literally says that the woman in here says, those who want to choose that lifestyle can do so, of course. It has consequences in society and one's own life, and one must be aware of that. She says you can do that. The consequences in this instance are talking about the fact that child rearing means you get paid less. That is a consequence of child rearing. And you should just be aware of it. That's it. There's nothing complicated in this sentence. There's absolutely nothing controversial in that sentence either. And we should have people be informed and make informed decisions on the life decisions that they want to make, right? I guess no more messages. I guess no more chat messages from that chatter. Well, I'm sure if they find something, they'll post it. I'm sure if they can find something. Yeah, it's just not really as much of a thing as people claim it to be, and then they kind of just point and say like, yeah, well the extreme left keeps saying this, but then when they have to find an example of the extreme left saying this, they can't find any examples of like a single person saying this. I don't know why. I don't know why that happens, but